Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream. Today's host is Phil Bowers, and he is the Director of Marketing and will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Phil will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Phil, thank you so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate it. I'm finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
All right, thanks, Julie. And as always, great to be with you and the Microcom community. We've been doing these for quite a while, and as always, I look forward to them. And we've got a pretty exciting new topic here today to talk about, and some even more, I think, exciting stuff towards the end of my presentation today to talk about that you can kind of expect to see from us here in the next couple of months. Some really cool new stuff coming out. So yeah, once again, thanks for having me. Always excited to be here. And yeah, let's jump right into our presentation for today. And as you know, we've talked about on, I think, many of our webinars throughout the past couple of years, Grandstream has really expanded our, in my opinion, expansion is the right word. We have really expanded our operation to also now become a manufacturer of Wi-Fi solutions. Our GWN series has been out now for just about 5 years, and we're really starting to build up that portfolio. We've seen incredible growth on our Wi-Fi solutions over the course of the last few years. It was 200% growth worldwide for us in this field last year in 2021, and it looks to be potentially double that depending on how the numbers finish up this year. So you know, we believe that we have built a great product. We've seen in many cases with our partners around the world and our customers using other major brands that if we're able to get these products in their hands, we win them over most of the time. So we got a great solution. It really adds to everything that we're doing on the UC side of things, and I'm excited to tell you about the newest additions to it here today, our GWN series routers. So as I mentioned a moment ago, our GWN series, which we've covered quite a bit here in the past, which is our series of networking solutions, includes wireless access points. Now it includes routers, includes 3 different free management solutions. We'll soon include PoE switches and additional wired and wireless routers. I'll tell you more about that later on, but is our fastest growing product line. We've seen explosive growth across the world, obviously, but also here in the United States with our networking solutions. And you know, some of the reasons why I think we cover here on this screen, you know, the first major differentiator and really the thing that we are finding really helps us stand alone within this networking solutions industry is the free management options that we offer. We have 3 different free management options for every single device, whether it's an access point, whether it's a router, now whether it's a switch. We've got a cloud option, we've got a software option, and we've got controllers built into the devices themselves, accessible from the web user interface. And all of those options are fully free. Super easy installation, especially if you use our cloud platform. We've got an app, just allows you to scan a barcode on a router, on an access point, on a switch, and it'll just automatically be added back to your management platform. Full portfolio of access points and routers. We've talked about them in the past, specifically on the access point side, indoor, outdoor, Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, you know, high support for 750 concurrent clients down to support for 100 concurrent clients. So pretty much anything and everything in between. Full portfolio of all the wireless APs you need. And we offer real-time monitoring, alerts, and reports across the board on all of our devices, available through all of these great management tools, whether you're using the cloud option, the software option, or the built-in controller. All these great real-time monitoring, alerts, and reports, built-in troubleshooting, whatnot, that just makes our solutions, our networking solutions, easy to install, easy to manage, and really just seamless solution for you. Before we get into the routers, I think we may have mentioned this in the past, but always like to kind of lead in with this when we're talking about our networking solutions. We are proud to be a member of the Wi-Fi Alliance. The Wi-Fi Alliance, as it tells you here on the slide, a network of companies that really have come together to set standards for the Wi-Fi community worldwide. Really, again, to increase and help evolve the adoption of Wi-Fi, the evolution of Wi-Fi technology, spectrum advocacy, whatnot. It basically is a group of companies that is leading the Wi-Fi industry worldwide. We are very excited to be a member of this and to have all of our devices, or the majority of our GWN series devices, fully certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So that brings us into what we're talking about here today, and that is our new GWN series routers. Those of you that may have some familiarity with our GWN series going back 4 or 5 years, this is actually the second and the third router that we've ever come out with. We do have a GWN 7000, which is a wired router. So these are the first Wi-Fi routers that we have come out with. And as I'm going to tell you later on, we've got a variety of additional routers also in the pipeline. So both of these routers you see here on the screen, GWN 7062 on the left, that is a Wi-Fi 6 router. The GWN 7052 on the right, that is a Wi-Fi 5 router. So obviously, other than the form factor, the one on the left there looks, I think, a little bit more like what you're used to getting from an internet service provider. For example, the one on the right looks a little bit more like a consumer device, I would say. Both of these routers, and I'll go through the specs of them, but just to set the expectations right off the bat. These are more home office routers, home routers, or small office routers. The 7062 on the left is going to support up to, I believe it's a little over 250 concurrent clients, and the 7052 on the right is going to support about 100 concurrent clients. So again, we're really positioning these more as home office routers, small office routers, home routers. We'll go through all the specs, obviously VPN, firewall, all that type of stuff built into it. Both of these, again, certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. The difference in the certification there is the one on the left is Wi-Fi 6 certified because it runs Wi-Fi 6. The one on the right, it's just Wi-Fi certified because it runs Wi-Fi 5. So again, actually, I forgot I have this slide here, but really these are the targets, and these are the kind of the target verticals for these devices based off of what they can do, the capacity that they offer you. Small offices, great for, I'm going to say, a 5 to 10 person office. It has the built-in Wi-Fi capability, but also gives you the ability to, create, whether it be a mesh system with other access points, or the ability to, be connected directly to those access points. To have them serve as standalone APs. Home offices, obviously they're both dual band, so they give you the ability to, really support the smart home environment, lights, HVAC systems, everything else that runs off of an internet connection while still obviously having that 5 gigahertz band for all of your work or daily or internet around the house needs. VPN built right into these devices, so that gives you the ability to easily connect to the office VPN with them. And then service providers also, really, I would say, I think at the core of why we developed these products, really developed to help us kind of target and go after more residential or small business service providers with these routers, which again are really kind of, I'm going to say, catered to a small office or a home office at very affordable and frankly, I believe one of these devices is sub 100 retail, and one of them is just over 100 retail. So very, very cost effective, but very powerful devices. So between the two of them, I'm actually just going to skip through this slide because we went through it a little bit. Let's go through each one of these individually. So I'm going to start with the 7062. This is our Wi-Fi 6 router. supports up to 256 concurrent clients. Again, runs Wi-Fi 6. It's going to give you 1.77 gigs per second, which, you know, I think is great for any home or any home office. Also, frankly, from what we've seen, it is more than what most small offices currently have access to in terms of speed. So it's going to give you everything that a small office is going to need. Does have built-in Wi-Fi routing, Wi-Fi access point capability with the 2x2 multi-user MIMO internal antennas. Built-in VPN support, as I mentioned a moment ago. Does support mesh networking with Grandstream's GWN series APs. The APs can also be, you know, connected as a standalone APs connected back to the same network as the router. If you'd rather do that, but does also work in a mesh network setup. They will be supported by GWN Cloud, which is our cloud platform, which I think is especially important for, well, from what we see, 80 to 90% of Wi-Fi installers, resellers, IT people are using cloud platforms. So, you know, I was going to say good for some people, but good for most people, will be compliant with our cloud management platform, which gives you the ability to, you know, access it from anywhere, utilize the mobile app, use our cloud platform to manage multiple different sites, which is, you know, especially important for service providers, for example. Under one interface, et cetera, et cetera. That cloud support is going to be available within the next firmware release for these guys, which should be available here within the next couple of weeks. So that's the GWN 7062. Again, Wi-Fi 6, 256 concurrent clients, supports speeds up to 1.77 gigs per second. Again, you know, great for a small office, for a small business. Great for you know, especially with the Wi-Fi 6 capability, great for any home that has a lot of devices connected to it running off the internet. Wi-Fi 6 certified, as I mentioned before, fully certified, tested by the Wi-Fi Alliance. The great thing about you know, these certifications that we mentioned for these devices is that you don't just come out with get these certifications for coming out with a product. They go through rigorous independent testing to be able to reach this, to achieve this certification. So again, that's why we're, you know, really excited and often kind of point out the fact that our devices are, fully certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So here is the back of the GWN 7062. You see you've got a USB 3.0 port, you've got 3 gigabit LAN ports here. On the back, you've got a LAN and WAN configurable port, and then the bottom port is a dedicated WAN port. And then if you were to flip the device upside down and look at the very bottom of it, there is where you would see the power supply input, the reset button, and the sync. So it is important to point out, it does have a sync button, allows you to easily set up mesh systems or, you know, pair devices with this router. So that's the GWN 7062. Now we get to the GWN 7052. This is the other new router that we just launched recently. I will say that this slide mentioned is a GWN 7052F. The F version is not available yet. It will be available by the end of the year. And that F means it has a fiber port built into it. So that's something important to point out to you. But both of these devices, the GWN 7052 or 7052, both support up to 100 concurrent clients. Again, they run on Wi-Fi 5, speeds up to 1.27 gigs per second, which I think is, you know, great for, especially for kind of a home environment, a home office, or, you know, a smaller area, or within a larger office. I guess more probably specifically, we'll say maybe 2 to 5 person office could operate off of this, but you know, again, definitely developed more for the small businesses, home offices, to really help us also, you know, work with increase basically increase the products and solutions that we have available for residential and business internet service providers as well. So this one, as you can see, has the 4 external antennas. They come already on. You don't have to screw them on or anything. They come out of the box with the antennas attached, and you just kind of unfold them. Built-in VPN, again, just like the 7062, mesh networking with our access points, just like the 7062. And the same thing with the cloud management and provisioning support with GWN Cloud, which will be available within the next couple of weeks here. So again, a little bit lower capacity than the 7062. Again, this one runs Wi-Fi 5, or the other runs Wi-Fi 6, but I believe the price point of this device is either right around 100 or potentially even could be sub 100. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that, but really cost-effective option. But again, giving you 1.27 gigs per second, 100 concurrent clients, which, you know, most small offices and homes will be served quite well by that. So yeah, again, this slide points out the difference between the 7052 and the 7052F, which again, as I mentioned, will be available by the end of the year. The 7052F, just a little bit more powerful, as you see with the RAM, supports double the amount of NAT sessions, and gives you that extra SFB fiber port. That's really the big differentiator with that. The F version is the fiber port that will be added to it. Again, just like we looked at earlier, to look at the back of the device, give you an idea of what ports you're looking at here with the 7052. Reset pin, power supply port, USB 2.0 port. Then you've got 4 dedicated LAN ports and a WAN port over there on the right. And I don't know if I mentioned this on the 7062, but for both of these devices, all of the LAN and WAN ports are gigabit Ethernet ports. And here's the difference with the 7052F, which again will be available by the end of the year. Only differences are those 2 ports over there on the right. The 4th LAN port has been turned into a WAN LAN configurable port. And over there on the right, now you have a SFP WAN fiber port. So we've mentioned management options a whole bunch of times here today, but for these routers, obviously I talked about the GWN cloud support. Just to go into it real fast, for those of you that might not know about GWN Cloud, it is a fully free enterprise grade Wi-Fi setup, management, and provisioning platform. Runs on Amazon Web Services, as you see there. This platform has unlimited support for access points and sites. Basically, there is no limit on the amount of devices that you can manage. There's no limit on the amount of sites that you can use GWN Cloud to manage with. And again, it's fully free. So it makes this a great option really for everyone, whether you're just managing, you know, a couple access points at your house, all the way up to a service provider that might have, you know, a whole bunch of, you know, different sites and customers that they want to be able to provision and manage centrally. It's a great option for all of that, or both of those options, everything in between. Does have a mobile app. I mentioned this earlier, allows you to add, manage your devices from the mobile app, but also more importantly, allows you to add devices to your network just by scanning the barcode on them. So yeah, check out GWN Cloud. The URL is literally just gwn.cloud. It's fully free, get set up and running right away. We're never going to charge for it. People always ask that. It is always going to be a free platform. And again, there's no limit on devices or sites that can be used to manage with it. And again, it can manage not just our access points, but also these new routers, the PoE switches, and the additional routers that we have coming very soon. Over there on the right for the routers, this is the same as all of our access points. They actually also have embedded controller technology right in them, accessible from the web user interface. So any Grandstream, any of the routers I showed you here today, or any Grandstream Wi-Fi access point, the switches coming actually will have this capability as well. Give you the ability to manage networks of up to 50 other Grandstream devices, networking devices, all within the web user interface of one of those devices. So for example, The 7062, there's a typo on the bottom here, 7062 can support up to 50 Grandstream access points or routers, whereas the 7052 can support up to 30 other Grandstream access points or routers. And again, that's fully free, built right into the user interface to the routers, also to the access points. Great for local deployments, really, is what that's meant for. It allows you to very quickly and very easily set up a local deployment on one site for one network. We also do, we'll leave it at that. I think I mentioned, we mentioned VPN. Obviously, especially with Wi-Fi, a lot of times the follow-up question is, what protocols do you support for VPN? And we've got them listed here on the screen. Obviously, OpenVPN really is the big one and the most popular one anymore. IPsec also, and then on the client side, we'll support L2TP and PPTP. And again, I think VPNs are, pretty much everybody understands what a VPN is. So we'll leave it at that. But again, just wanted to mention that all of these devices are access points as well. The routers that I just showed you have full VPN support. And here are the protocols that they support. Also mentioned throughout, so we can get through this pretty quickly, that these routers do support mesh networking with Grandstream access points. You can also set up mesh networks with Grandstream access points, pairing them with other access points. This makes network expansion very easily. Great solution for service providers. I feel like everybody is really marketing mesh network setups within offices, within homes, and our routers fully support mesh networking with other Grandstream routers and Grandstream access points. You can mesh two routers together. Obviously, the routers have the Wi-Fi capability built into them as well as the access points do. In terms of security, protection, and encryption, this is something that I actually kind of forget about sometimes. But one of the things that we really spent a lot of time on when we developed our GWN series is we were looking to, frankly, double the amount of security protection that double, if not triple, in some cases, the amount of security protection that our Wi-Fi devices offer compared to what our competitors do. And what we've come up with is this, frankly, for us, standard set of security features that are built into all of our GWN series devices, routers and access points, and the switches coming up. And a lot of these things you're just frankly not going to see from really anybody else in this space. I'll go through and we'll quickly kind of explain and call some of these out. The anti-hacking secure boot is actually technology that we also have that runs on our IP PBXs, our UC management systems, which basically allows the device as it's booting up to automatically keep in touch with, and you have different areas of the processor that are basically communicating with other areas of the processor, another other technology involved in the device to ensure that before it boots up that everything is running as it should, and if it senses anything is off, it will actually stop the boot so that nothing can happen. Critical data control, actually that's the second part of it, the critical data control and lockdown via digital signatures. Those digital signatures are communicated between the various devices, various ends of the device, and if it senses anything is off, we'll actually not just prevent it from booting up, but we'll encrypt and protect the data that is within those systems. Two things that we do that I still really surprised we don't see other manufacturers do: unique security certificates, random default passwords. Every one of our access points, every one of our routers has a completely different security certificate. A lot of other manufacturers use common security certificates on the same models or even across all of their models. And essentially what that means is if somebody's able to essentially break the security certificate for one device, they can get into the whole network. Whereas ours, every single device has a different security certificate. We also have random default passwords. One of the things that's always surprised me is actually the most common time when a network is hacked into or compromised is when it's initially being set up. And a lot of other manufacturers will have either the same password, default password on all of their devices, or it will be predictable, very easy to figure out essentially. Whereas every single device we make has a completely different random default password. They're not predictable whatsoever. It basically makes it impossible to be able to get in for anybody with malicious intent to get into a network when it's first being set up. Then obviously we've got the built-in firewall and all the different firewall protocols we support, as well as the guest network and the network blacklist. Two on the bottom are more common features, but again, a lot of different security software built into it, not just protecting the data and connection, or not just protecting the data on your network, but also protecting the devices on your network, making each device unique on the network, ensuring that basically it's nearly impossible to get into one, let alone more than one device on your network. Apologies, I keep knocking over my water bottle next to me. All right, so we're pretty close to wrapping up here. I think we covered this earlier, but again, to wrap up the router discussion, these really, because of the 100 or the 256 concurrent clients and the 1.27 gigs or the 1.77 gigs support, ideal for small offices, home offices, service providers that serve the residential and small business community for these GWN 7052 and 7062 routers. And as I'm going to mention here in a second, these are just the first two routers that we have coming out. Early next year, you're going to see a couple of, well, I'm going to call them more SMB geared wired routers come out, followed by some more SMB geared wireless routers coming out next year. We talked about the access points, kind of covered them real fast earlier. I've covered them in past webinars, but again, just like to throw this slide up, show you the whole current portfolio that we have. These are the indoor access points. I've got outdoor and long range access points on the next slide. One of the, I guess the one that I'll just real quickly call out, because I'm not sure if we've talked about it with you guys, is the GWN 7624, which is the fourth from the left there. That came out just I think it was a month or a month and a half ago. That is actually an in-wall access point. So it gives you the ability to mount it right above an Ethernet drop in a room. It's really kind of built for hotels or for building complexes, again, to residential building complexes, who are often the ones looking to, mount these in a room. It does actually have 3 PoE ports connected, or excuse me, 3 output ports connected to it. It's either 1 or 2 that have PoE. So for a hotel room, for example, this little device gives you the ability to provide internet for the whole room, to power and to provide internet and power for a phone in the room, as well as a TV, while also then having another slot potentially to allow someone to connect their laptop. So yeah, anyway, main message here, got a full portfolio, Wi-Fi 6, not Wi-Fi 6. These guys will support anywhere from 100 up to 750 concurrent clients. And that's really the main way that these are going to differentiate. So whole range of indoor access points, whole range of outdoor access points. Again, all of these are outdoor. We call them outdoor, long range, weatherproof. We see them used in warehouses as much as we see them used outdoors. Call them outdoors just because they're made with weatherproof casing. But again, they're great options for warehouses or for large indoor spaces as well. My house here is running off a GWN 7664 LR, and you can pretty much go halfway down the block and you still got a connection from it. So there you go, whole range of indoor, whole range of outdoor, pretty much all the access points that you're going to need for any setting. Now, obviously, we've got these routers to go along with it. I'm going to go through that slide. I'm actually going to just go through a couple of slides here. And we're going to go straight to this, because this is kind of what I just kind of tried to transition over to. I think that this is going to end up being our biggest product launch of the year. in terms of importance, in terms of impact. I think it's going to be one of the largest and most important products that we've launched in, frankly, the last 4 or 5 years. And frankly, a long time coming, but we are very excited to finally be getting ready to announce our GWN series of managed network switches. There's going to be a whole bunch of different devices. The ones that we expect to launch in November or December. The first series is what you see here on the screen. We then also have another series expected for early next year, which is layer 3 managed network switches. But this first ones are going to be layer 2 plus managed network switches, 8, 16, or 24 gigabit ports. Each model is going to have either 2 or 4 gigabit SFP ports. These are going to be able to be managed through our cloud platform, through our software platform, through the built-in controller on these devices, and they're also going to be able to be managed by not the routers I showed you here today, but the next group of routers we have coming out will have controller technology that allows them to also control these PoE switches. There's going to be 6 models within this initial series. Essentially, each of the 3 you see here on the screen, there's going to be a model with all PoE ports and with no PoE ports. So you got 8, 16, and 24 gigabit ports, or 8, 16, and 24 gigabit PoE ports, depending on the model. If you can see really closely on the picture here, all of these models end in a P, which means all the ones you see on the screen are power over Ethernet on all ports. There will also be a series that doesn't have the P at the end there, so it'll just be 7801, 7802, and 7803, and those will not have PoE. But anyway, we're pumped about these. We've been having our customers and clients around the world request these for a while. You know, we didn't want to just throw something out there quickly. We spent a good 2 years to develop these, to test them out, to try different form factors. And again, we're incredibly excited about these. Obviously, these devices will pair with everything we make, whether you're a UC customer, whether you're a networking customer, whether you're a mix of the two, whether you're just deploying our facility access products, all of those people, everybody needs switches, and I'm sure we all know this, so I don't need to keep saying it. But again, we're really excited about these. We see a lot of potential. We've been starting to talk about these in our travels over the last couple of months. And to say the least, for a lot of reasons, we can't come out with these soon enough. We've heard of the issues that many of the customers in this industry, and also in in the UC industry, we all know very well, who are not able to get switches from different manufacturers, who have been having supply chain or component issues. We've been incredibly fortunate over the last 2 years to not have any supply chain issues. We did a great job with kind of preparing for all of that, buying more chips, more components that we need. And now we obviously have no issues sourcing or building anything. We've pretty much expanded out to have 5 or 6 different manufacturing facilities. So anyway, we got these. They're available very soon. Many of our competitors, many of the other companies in the space, not just in this PoE switch, but in networking space in general, don't have stock, haven't been able to get stock. So these types of products are heavily in demand. Obviously, will continue to be. They pair well with everything we make. So keep an eye out for these switches. Again, the first group will be layer 2 managed network switches. The second group coming out early next year will be layer 3 managed network switches. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, so I guess this isn't really a tease, but we are in the process of finalizing for launch a couple of additional routers. You're going to see, I believe off the top of my head, about 6 different new router models next year. Basically everything it's being developed and will be launched soon is higher capacity than the 2 routers that you saw here today, which again, and as I as I mentioned, are the 2 routers we talked about here today, small office, home office type routers. The ones that we're working on coming soon, those will be more of your, small to medium sized business, traditional office size routers, both wireless and wired options. obviously gigabit, VPN, multi-WAN, all that type of stuff. All right, so I'm actually going to wrap up by going back to this slide here. Anyway, that's pretty much the meat of the webinar. Went through the introduced you to the routers, told you about those, gave you an idea of some of those switches and additional routers that are coming early next year. And just to kind of wrap up what I kind of started off with, obviously, we're putting a lot of focus, a lot of emphasis, and we're really looking to drive a lot of our growth moving forward within the networking solutions. But that, I don't want that to detract from the fact that, we really are one of the only companies in the world that is able to provide everything a business needs to put in place a full communication solution. Obviously, voice, video, data, mobility on the UC side of things, but now also networking and wireless mobility on the networking side of things, really offer a one-stop shop for everything that a business or any facility and environment would need to put in a communications platform. And that, moving forward, that is, that's always been what we've stood on, but we're not going away from that. It is our biggest differentiator, and it really is, at least from the marketing side, the thing that I'm always the most excited about with Grandstream. Truly a one-stop shop for pretty much everything you're going to need, especially now that we've filled in that networking piece. Truly a one-stop shop. And with that, I will end my spiel, I guess you could call it. And that's what I had planned for today's webinar. Went a little bit longer than I had planned, so do apologize for that. But again, thanks everybody for joining here today. Excited to tell you about these new routers. Keep an eye out for the PoE switches, which we're expecting to launch in November or early December, and then for other routers coming next year. And with that, I will turn it over to Julie and do my best to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Phil, for that wonderful presentation. And of course, we do have questions for you. Let's get started with the first one. Regarding the GWN.cloud, will this work with all existing devices?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously the caveat is it works with Grandstream devices, but GWN Cloud works with every GWN series device that we have, access points. As I mentioned, the routers, the support for the routers is coming within the next week or so with a firmware update, so that'll be there soon. And then all of the PoE switches and routers and everything else, new access points that we launch moving forward, everything is compatible with GWN Cloud.
Thank you very much. Next question here regarding GWN Manager. Will this only work locally, not accessible outside?
Correct. That's the intended, that is the intended usage of it for be run basically on a PC on a local network to control devices that are on the same network.
Thank you, Phil. Next question here. Regarding the GWN 7000 series, will this support bandwidth control and QoS?
Yes, very good questions. Does support QoS and does support bandwidth control. And our future routers will as well.
Thank you so much for that. Next question. Is the security a paid feature for the GWN 7000 series or a paid third-party app? I know you may have already touched on this, but
that is a good question. And it's built in. It's our own software. It's built into the devices. There's no you don't have to purchase it. There's no, extra tier to get the security features or anything. There's no software that you have to install or download. It's all just built into the software that the products run off of.
Thank you very much. A few more questions lined up here. Next one, what are the warranties on all of your devices? Or if there's, warranties for different devices?
Yeah, no, you guys are asking great questions today, and it's all stuff that I actually wish that I had touched on. But our warranty policy, so we just revised it a couple of months ago. We now offer a 3-year warranty on every single GWN device. access point, router, the switch, everything coming up in the future. And that 3-year warranty is backdated to anything bought since January 1st of this year. That 3-year, and like I mentioned, that 3-year warranty is double or triple what most of the other companies in the space offers. I'll throw one out there. I believe Ubiquiti offers 18 months at the most of a warranty on any of their devices. And again, we're giving you a 3-year warranty on any of them. It is easily higher than what you're going to get elsewhere. And I think it really just, kind of goes to the trust and the faith and the reliability that we've built up and that we've seen with these devices now over the 4 or 5 years since they first hit the market. We have a great track record with, if we're able to get these devices in people's hands, we generally win them over. And they're obviously, super high quality devices, which is why we give the 3-year warranty. But anyway, love the question, because I definitely want to promote and really highlight that 3-year warranty on all these GWN devices.
Oh, no problem. The question was the warranties on your different devices, and that's why we love you guys so much.
There you go. I love it.
And thank you for giving, toward the end there, you gave us an overview on your supply chain, because that's really good to know, because that's getting better for a lot of people, but it's so good to know that you guys, didn't experience too much trouble with that.
Yeah, we, in all honesty, we had a great year last year. And if I'm being honest with you, a lot of it was because we didn't have any supply chain interruptions. We never were short on stock of everything. Our management team did a great job, like I mentioned earlier, of, I think we bought more components and more components, more chips specifically than we thought we would need a couple of years ago. We diversified our manufacturing. So until 3 or 4 years ago, it was mostly at one facility. Now it's spread out amongst 6. So if anything happens with one, we can move everything over to the other one. I know everyone hears about all of the, COVID lockdowns still going around in China. And I've heard of manufacturers that have been kind of, left in the cold by that, just because the city where they're making their stuff, gets put on lockdown. And that's, another advantage of us having 5 or 6 different places where we can make this stuff. So anyway, long story short, yeah, we've been very fortunate. I think our management team took some great action right off the bat. And we have not had any supply chain or components or issues whatsoever.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Couple more questions. Next one here is, are the routers combo modem, or is it just the router?
Just a router.
Okay. No problem. Next question. We'll try to jam in some more.
Sure.
Are they devices or smart devices?
Sorry?
Are they dummy devices or smart devices? I know I've never heard this question before.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to answer it. It's a Wi-Fi router. It's a Wi-Fi router. It's got a web user interface that goes along with it. Obviously all the different management platforms. So I guess I'm not fully sure how to answer it. It's as smart as any Wi-Fi router that's out right now. I'll answer it.
Yeah, I don't think we want to use the word dummy. Anyway, next question here for you. What is the range with Wi-Fi routers?
It's a very good question. I believe that these routers have, I'm going to say it's between 100 meters and 150 meters is what we advertise. Obviously, the thing, especially the more that we get involved with networking, the range obviously is kind of tough to say. A lot of manufacturers actually won't even list range for access points or routers because it depends so much on the environment they're being deployed on. But the way that we do it, it's tested in an open environment. You basically go as far as you can and see where till the signal drops off. And Our indoor access points are 165 and 175 meters. I believe these routers are either 100 or 150 meters. I apologize, I don't remember it specifically off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. We totally understand, Phil. Thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone for joining today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you, Phil. Everybody have a fantastic day. And until next time, my friend, we will look forward to your next webinar with us.
Likewise. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.